Hello, I'm El Director, and you're watching Indie Rebel Hollywood Effects without a Hollywood budget. Our tutorial today is actually inspired by one from VideoCopilot.net, and that is this one here, where he goes through and he shows us, he being Andrew Kramer, of course, showing us how to do some really cool stroke effects on the text. And I took a look at that and I said, I wonder if we can recreate that inside of Natron. So that is exactly what we're going to attempt to do today. So let's go ahead and start off by adding a text node. And there it is. Very cool. And we are going to put in our initial text. We're going to say, maybe we'll do Rebel. This typically works better too with text that is all in caps. So be sure to keep that in mind. There it is right there. I'm going to change this to center interact because I like that better. And let's just go ahead and scale it up a little bit like that. And we can come in here and choose a font. And I really have no idea which font we want to use. We're just going to find one that looks kind of cool. Generally speaking too, this works better with fonts that are sans serif, ones without all the little feet like you can see right now. So maybe we'll come back up here and we'll do like Arial Black. Simple, short and sweet, and I'll show you how we can change all these later. Alright, so there's our initial text, and what we want to do now is create another text node that references any of the variables that we want to change later. Let me show you how that works. We're going to just come over here and add another text node, and for once I'm going to make this have both controls available in my properties pane, and then I want to also drag this up just for a moment. So what I want to do is I want to take in my second text node the same variables from the first one. And here's how we can go about doing that. I can literally select them both. So I'm going to select my first one and then the second one, and that just kind of gets them in queue the way I want. I'm going to go back to the first one, press and hold Command on a Mac, Control on Windows, and you can see now I have a little link icon anytime I'm over these properties that you can normally right click and keyframe and such. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press and hold Control or Command, and then I want to click and drag that, scroll down, and then release it over there. And what we've just done is we've now taken that data and moved it over to text node 2. In fact, if I zoom in up here, you can see text node 2 now says Rebel on it. And I can go back to number 1, it also says it. So that's all working well so far. Now the other thing I'm going to do to keep things matching up is I'm going to go over to node number 2 and make sure I set that to center interact as well. Alright, what other variables might we want to move? Well, we're definitely going to want to make sure that the font gets linked over. So I'm going to go back to my first one. And same thing, I'm going to click and drag, scroll down, and release. And then go back to the first one. We want to make sure that we do the font size. So we're going to link that over. And font size. And then, is there any others that we should take over? I think that'll get us going here to start with. And we just have to remember to keep linking stuff as we go from here on out. Alright, so now that we've done that, let's go ahead and start designing our text, and then we'll add more of these as we go if we need them or want them. So let's go ahead and bring this back down so we can see what we're doing here. And we'll go ahead and fill that to the frame like that. So that's text node 2 and text node 1. Our text is set to be the same size, of course. So let's add our first stroke. So let's go actually to the second one, and we'll go down to stroke size and stroke color, and we're just gonna go ahead and stroke this out a little bit here. Make sure I'm viewing that particular one. So we'll just make that kind of large like that, and maybe I want to go with some shade of blue. So we're gonna come in here to the blues, just like so. All right, that's cool. And then I'm gonna go back to the first one, and I wanna add maybe a black outline to it. So I'm gonna come down here and set my stroke color to black. And then we'll do like just a very small stroke size of like, I don't know, 5. Now you can't see it right now, But if I now take this text node and I merge it on top of our other one, now you can begin to see something cool happening. We've got multiple stroke things happening at the same time. So now I can come back here to the first one, which is on top, and make that stroke a little bit thicker. And I can just begin to start dialing the stuff in that way. So that works out pretty well. Now maybe I want to do one more instance, one more backdrop behind the thing. So we'll add another text node, just like that. And actually we'll put this one down here, and I'm going to bring up 1 and 4. So again, we're going to take the text and drag that down to, if I can find it here, there we go, the other text. And then we're also going to do that with the size as well and the font. So I'm going to come back up to font family. And then there's font family. And then we'll do the font size. And font size. And then let's go ahead and actually, where do I want to stick this one? Let's put this one even behind what we've already done here. So we'll do this, and then do this, disconnect this momentarily, put this one up here because this is our new background, and then merge this one on top of this one, and then that goes on top of that, just like so. So we just kind of straighten these out a little bit here. Oh, and the other thing we forgot to do is center interact like that. Now I can go to this background one, and if we come down and scale up the stroke, we should begin to see it. Yep, there it is, right behind the blue. And so we can enlarge it like so. Now one thing I have not been able to figure out, it might be a bug, it might just be a function of the way this all works, is eventually sometimes you get these little spiky things sticking out from the side. And like I say, I have not figured out a good way to get rid of them other than by watching how much we actually scale our stroke. And yeah, you know what, that's looking pretty patriotic. I think we'll keep the red, white, and blue. You could also come in and go for more of a monochromatic color scheme if you wanted. Go with like a darker blue back there or something like that. And that actually looks pretty nice. So now let's go ahead and take this a step further and make it so we can actually kind of see what we have going on, and we'll put a background behind this all. So we're just going to come into here and add actually, let's see, which one do I want? Let's add a radial, actually. That'll be kind of cool. Let's go and view it. That's looking nice. And instead of black, I want this to be kind of a darker gray. And instead of white, we're going to go for a lighter shaded gray. There we are. And then we can come in and take our text and drop it in on top of our new background, just like so. And the only other thing I think we're missing is maybe some sort of a drop shadow going on behind the thing. We could do that real easy. I'm going to add another merge down here, and we're going to add a color corrector up above it and a transform node below that. Just like that. That will become our new background. That gets piped into here. This comes up to there, and that one comes up to there. So what we've just done now is if I take my color corrector, I drop the gain down, I can then use my transform node to offset that, creating the illusion of a drop shadow back there. And then we can even come in and blur out that shadow just a little bit if we wanted to, kind of soften up the edges, just like that. And then again, just because I'm trying to stay organized here, drop that all down, like so. Now, the really, really cool part about all this too is that we can even start to throw this into 3D space if we wanted to. I can come below the merge. Again, remember, this is for our text, right? And then we've got our shadow. And so this is where all that gets composited together. I can add a card 3D node can drop that down, go into my card. And if I drop to, I think it's going to be right here in File, you can see I'm actually able now to rotate my text with the shadow and all. Now, if I didn't want to rotate the shadow with it, of course, you can do that too. Now, we are limited. We're not working in a true 3D space right now. I can't, project and cast light down and do all sorts of cool stuff like we could in the After Effects version. But for being able to do some basic motion graphics here inside of Natron, this is actually extremely helpful. Now, the other thing, the reason why we linked everything is I can come back to my text node and I may be like, oh yeah, I want this to be called Indie Revel. So I can come up here and go INDIE space, and now everything changes off with it. Now we do have some of those weird pointy things that we had talked about, but everything is procedural. We can update it and everything changes and updates as it go. I could put my name here if I wanted to, L Director, and again that updates too, just like that. So once again, this has just been a kind of a short and sweet tutorial. I hope it gives you guys some ideas and maybe inspires a little bit of creativity for using Natron for motion graphics. Hope that's been helpful. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. We'll see you later.